It's Wednesday. It's hump day of the week before spring break. Everybody let out a big woohoo. We're getting there. We got to get through today, and then we just got 2 more days, and then we can celebrate, start spring break. Well, we're going to get right into our ELA today so we don't waste any time. And we're looking at two suffixes as we begin today, itty and tea. Itty, just an itty bitty little thing like Lillian Stone, right? Itty bitty. She's an itty bitty. I'm just kidding. Lillian Stone have to pick on somebody just a little bit every day. Itty and tea are the suffixes we're adding to some words today. Remember, we know a suffix is a word part added to the end of a base word that changes the meaning of the word. A suffix also changes a word's part of speech. For example, the suffix itty changes the verb prosper to the noun prosperity. The suffix itty and the related suffix t usually tell about the quality or state. Prosperity is the state of prospering. So if we add itty to words like our vocabulary word prosper, prosperity, it means you are being prosperous. Security means you are being secure, right? You're being secured. If you have a security system in your house, maybe an alarm to make sure you feel secured. Safety, that is doing something to make sure it's safe. And royalty, that's the being royal, the state of being royal, like a king or queen is royalty, right? So two new suffixes we've not really used a lot this year, itty and tea. I'm sure we'll be working with them later on. Our story this week has something unique that some of our other ones have not, maybe one or two has, and that is media. After we read the story, we get to watch a video of the story. It's a little different version of it, isn't it? And so I know you love media. You love playing your games. You love playing the graphics in the games. I know some of you like creating, I don't know if you do TikToks or not. I don't know if that's really good or not. But if you do, you like making some media, making your own videos and things like that. That's called media techniques. And authors sometimes use media techniques to inform, entertain, or persuade viewers. Media techniques are the ways a topic, idea, or other information is presented. So with our story this week, we have this media added, this video added to our story. And so some of the things that someone creating a media, now when you get in maybe middle school and high school, you might be able to take some media classes. I know definitely high school. I know at East High, they're making their own morning announcements by videoing them and adding music and graphics and all this. So if that's something you enjoy, you might want to get in that in high school and learn about creating your own media, things like that. Then you could go into college and really major in that. You might work for a TV station or maybe work for a news program like Channel 10 News or something like that one day. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? So if you like media, you might like to hear about this. So media can have sound elements, which would be music or sound effects or narration. Media would have experts speaking, maybe people who are knowledgeable about a topic discussing their thoughts and ideas. Live action, scenes of events with characters, people, or objects that can be real or imagined. Can have visual elements, brightly colored graphics and text that catch the viewer's attention. And then animation, illustrated characters or objects in motion. All of these are media techniques, things that you can add to media to make them more interesting to view and watch. So let's take a look now at our story, and then we'll take a look at the media with our story, the little video that goes along with it. So I want you to open your book back up to page 124, 125, and we're going to read the story together one more time this week. And then tomorrow I'll have you read it by yourself again. But let's read the story, 10 Sons, a Chinese Legend. We've already read it once, but let's see what new information we might learn from it or things we didn't see before when we read it back on Monday. The story of 10 Sons is one of the oldest Chinese myths, going back as far as the Shang Dynasty, 1523 to 1027 BC. There are several versions of this myth. We get to see two of them in this week. So we see the illustration here, the big palace. Long ago, when the world was new, a giant mulberry tree grew on the far side of the sea, on the edge of the eastern horizon. What do you think? What do you think they have? Keep talking about the eastern horizon. You know which direction the sun rises in? The sun rises in the east, right? If you like live towards the mall from our school and you have to drive to school in the morning, you're driving towards the east and that sun is up in the east. It's in your eyes in the morning. And in the afternoon, it's in the west. So you're driving towards the sun when you go back home if you live towards the mall from our school. So the sun rises in the east. So this story is kind of like a pourquoi. Have you ever heard of a pourquoi tale? Pourquoi means why. And it's kind of why the sun rises in the east, why there's only one sun, this story tells us. Nestled in the topmost branches of this tree stood a jade palace. Hammered sheets of gold formed its roof. Its windows were made of the thinnest panes of amethyst and lapis lazuli. This was the palace of Dijun, the Eastern Emperor, the god who ruled the regions of the sky where the sun arises. Here's that dragon chariots. In those days, there were 10 sons, the children of Dijun and his wife Jihi. They never walked across the sky together. That would produce too much heat for the world to bear. Instead, every morning before dawn, Jihi would awaken one of her sons, and they would climb into her dragon chariot and drive to a point in the eastern horizon where Jihi's son would begin his walk. So the sun rises is a kind of an analogy of the sun rising in the east. Each day, one of the sons would walk across the sky from east to west. Isn't that what the sun does? Remember we talked about the sun rising and the rotation of the earth makes it look like the sun is going across the sky like in a circular pattern from east rising and going in noon right above our heads and moving to the west as it sets. So this is someone's idea of why it does that. Each day, one of the sons would walk across the sky from east to west. When the people on earth saw the sun crossing the heavens, bringing warmth and light, they offered thanks to Dijun, Jihi, and their family. But the gratitude of the earth's people and the importance of their work meant nothing to the boys. They found their task boring. Day after day, year after year, century after century, they followed the same path across the sky. There was no one to talk to, nothing new to see, nothing to do except follow that same weary track over and over again. So the boys are getting bored with their job. One night, as Dijun's boys lay in bed, they began talking. Hu Fuan Heng, the oldest, said, "I would not mind walking the path so much if I had some company." "I feel the same way," Pili Jing, the youngest, replied. "Tomorrow, let's do something different. Why don't we all get up early, take the dragon chariot, and walk across the sky together?" The others agreed. A splendid idea. In the dark of the night, while their parents slept, the boys arose, put on their brightest garments, hitched the dragon to their mother's chariots, and rode across the star-swept sky to the eastern horizon. Laughing, chattering with their arms around one another's shoulders, they began their walk. When dawn came, the people who lived on Earth were astonished to see 10 suns appear above the horizon. How would you like to wake up and see 10 suns in the sky? I would be a little freaked out, I think. The blazing heat of 10 suns shining down at once was more than the world could bear. Crops withered in the fields, forests caught fire, lakes and rivers dried up, mountains shattered to pieces, and the sea began to boil. People and animals grew faint. They stretched themselves on the scorching ground and waited to die. Why do you think these suns, what do you think they are dressed like they are dressed, and what do they look like they look? Okay, Mr. Taylor came in and talked to me for a minute, so I had to pause my video. So anyway, I was asking, why do you think they look like they look here? They are Chinese, for one thing, so they have a different culture than us. So they've got different haircuts for sure, right? We don't think about boys with haircuts like this, like a little place in the front and then some ponytails, maybe a little. That's different. And remember, this story is very, very, very old. And so it's a different time in history as well as a different culture. So they may look funny to us, but to people during that time, that was the normal. They would think we look funny, probably. I probably am funny looking anyway, right? But anyway, so if you're wondering about that, just remember this is a different culture and a different time in history. And they're supposedly gods and sons, so they're going to look different anyway. The great Emperor Shun, who ruled the nations of the world, cried to Eastern god Dijun, "Why are you punishing us? What have the creatures of the earth done to deserve this terrible fate? Have we not followed the proper rites? Have we not offered the correct sacrifices? Why have you sent your sons to destroy us?" Here's a picture of them looking out in the sky with the 10 sons. The great emperor's cries woke Dijun and Jihi. They looked out the window of the Jade Palace. In the distance, they saw their 10 sons marching together across the sky. Dijun and Jihi called to them, "Come back at once. Go no further." But the boys did not listen. Earth was far below. They could not see the damage they were causing. Higher and higher they climbed until they reached the place where the sun stands at noon. Dijun could not allow the world to be destroyed. The existence of all living things depended on him. If his sons would not abandon their reckless walk, he would have to stop them. Dijun summoned Hu Yi, the archer of heaven. First time I read that, that caught me by surprise because I thought, is he going to have an archer shoot his boys? Sure enough, he is, isn't he? I just couldn't believe that when I read it. Hu Yi had once been a man. He introduced the science of archery to the world by inventing the bow and arrow. As a reward for his discovery, the gods placed him in the heavens among the constellations. What are constellations? They're like shapes in the sky formed by stars. You know, like the Big Dipper, things like that. Dijun presented Hu Yi with the magic bow and 10 magic arrows. Well, I guess one for each son, right? With tears filling his eyes, he told Hu Yi, "Shoot down the 10 sons, my sons, who are burning up the earth." Hu Yi refused. "How can I harm your boys? They are like my children. I taught them to shoot with a bow and arrow. We both still love them, even when they disobey." So Hu Yi didn't want to do this, did he? "I love the creatures of the earth too. I must protect them," Dijun told Hu Yi. "Do not be afraid. You will not harm the boys. My sons will not be hurt, but they will be changed. Never again will they cross the sky as sons. They will be gods no more. Hurry, do as I command. There is no time to spare. The earth is dying." Hu Yi took Dijun's bow and magic arrows. He rode the winds down to earth. Taking his place on top of White Mountain, he planted his feet firmly and took careful aim. Hu Yi released the bowstring. The magic arrow streaked across the sky. It struck the first of 10 sons, shattering it to pieces. One by one, Hu Yi's arrows found their mark. Each son exploded, filling the sky with blinding light. The boys fell to earth, but they did not die. Instead, they turned into black feathered birds. They became crows. So in this version, the boys, when they get hit with the arrow, which is different from the other version, they turn into crows. The other version, the shield reflects their heat back and they turn into stars. So different versions here. The Emperor Shun watched the suns exploding in the sky. Suddenly he realized that if Hu Yi destroyed all the suns, there would be no light or heat, no heat or light. The earth would be plunged into icy darkness. There was no time to spare. The Emperor Shun summoned his fastest messenger. "Go to the top of White Mountain. Find Hu Yi. Remove one arrow from his quiver to make sure he does not shoot down all the suns." The messenger mounted his horse. He rode faster than he had ever ridden in his life, all the way to the top of White Mountain. There he saw Hu Yi. By now, only one sun remained in the sky. Shun's messenger plucked the last arrow from Hu Yi's quiver just as the archer of heaven reached for it. Finding no more magic arrows, Hu Yi assumed his work was done. He unstrung his bow and rode the wind back to the stars. Since that day, only one sun shines overhead. Every morning, the crows gather on White Mountain to greet the dawn. "Quaw, quaw," they call to their brother, the sun, as he begins his lonely walk across the sky. For they remember that once they too were gods, and hope for the day when their parents, Dijun and Jihi, will forgive them. Well, they went from being sons to crows. That's quite a demotion, right? Well, when I see a crow, I want to think about this crazy story now. Okay, well, let's look at a couple questions here and kind of talk through this. We've already watched the 10 sons. I want to go for, oh well. I don't think there's any questions about the story. It just wants us to watch 10 sons again. So we'll do that, and then we'll make up our own questions and talk about them, okay? So here we go. Here is, I'm going to shrink myself so you can see it better. Here is the media. Remember we talked about media elements? Let's think about what kind of media elements the creator uses in this media.
The 10 sons. Once upon a time, there were 10 sons. They took turns bringing light and warmth to the earth. Each day, one son would travel across the sky from east to west. The sons enjoyed being together. After a while, they did not want to be alone in the sky. One day, the 10 sons decided to travel together. They traveled across the sky and were very happy together, but the people on Earth were very, very hot. Plants and trees died. Rocks melted, and all the water began to dry up. The people of China begged their emperor Yao to tell the sons not to do this ever again. But the 10 sons liked traveling together and did not listen to the emperor. Yao asked them again and again to stop traveling together. He explained how hot it was on Earth, how the plants could not grow, and the animals had no water to drink. He told them how the people had no food, all because the sons wanted to travel across the sky together. Still, the 10 sons did not listen. The emperor did not know what to do. He wanted the sons to be happy, but not if it meant Earth had to suffer. Finally, he decided to send his most brave and clever archer, Yi, to talk to the 10 sons. Yi dressed in his thick cloth uniform to protect himself from the heat. He strapped his bow and arrows onto his back, grabbed his shield, and went off to complete his task. When Yi saw the sons, he asked them to stop traveling together. They did not listen to him. He continued to walk closer and closer to the sons. He held his shield above his head. The heat of the 10 sons reflected off Yi's shiny shield and bounced back toward them. Finally, the sons understood how hot their rays were. Yi explained to the sons how they could continue to stay together in the sky. One by one, the sons began to break into pieces. The tiny pieces spread themselves across the sky in all directions until only one sun was left. As the last sun continued to move toward the west, the tiny pieces sparkled throughout the night sky. The emperor and the people of China were thankful, and Earth began to prosper again.
Okay, well, there's that media version. So some of those things we talked about in our media presentation, let's look at them. Oops, wrong slide. Where is that one? Here it is. Did it have sound elements? Sure, it had music. Did it had kind of Chinese sounding music or kind of spacey sounding music at the end? Um, did it have experts? Not really have an expert in there. Live action. There were some live action and animation and visual elements. It was brightly colored. It did have a narrator, didn't it? So it had a narrator. So media techniques added to our story, The Ten Sons. Well, um, I'm going to let you. I'm going to stop now so I can let you do your assignment for today. It's going to be another easy assignment day since kind of a longer lesson today. We're just going to do a synonyms assignment today. So that's all you'll need to do for me today is one more synonym assignment, and we'll get to some more tomorrow. So I'll let you get started on that and your other things today. Let's work through this hump day, moving on towards spring break. See you later.